take a look at what else we can do with our background images. So in addition to those, I also have the following image. Actually, I'm going to save that for just a bit. All right, we showed one that tiled top to bottom, left to right. What about just a fully tiling everything? As you can see on here, I have a background image and an image to be used on backgrounds. It's a very large image, and it's got a little texture on it. So let's see what file size we can create for it. And that's 300 by 300. It's 5.689. Let's reduce that down to 30 by 30. And click Tab so we can see it. Very tiny. I'm going to save our changes. And this one will be background 3. Now this time, we're not going to tile anything. We're just going to give background 3, and we'll take out the background repeat. Actually, we'll just give it a value of repeat. Now this is default, so you could actually delete it. I'll go ahead and delete it. So if you're just going to tile graphic, you just do it that way. And in this case, there is no need to change the background color, but we may wish to change the color when we see what that looks like. So go ahead and hit refresh. And yeah, you probably are going to want to change the color on there. But as you can tell, I didn't change the background color at all. I just added that image. Maybe making it too small reduces some of the texture that we can't see. So let's just go ahead and try saving it at normal size. So we'll just go ahead and replace the normal one there. Click Replace. So you do want to take into account the image size will change patterns and things like it. Honestly, this is a very ugly looking pattern if you ask me. And it's not subtle enough. Little subtle patterns are okay, but at least it illustrates the point that you can just take one small image or large image and you can just repeat it. Another thing we could do would just be to crop it as a smaller image, hit enter. We should still have that same pattern, but the file size is now going to be smaller. It's only going to be 600 bytes. So we go ahead and replace it. So the only difference in here is that the image is much smaller in file size and in size, but the texture stays the same because it's a tiling graphic. I just uniformly applied a pattern to a background color. And I believe that's the one where I applied the texturizer filter. There's one last one we want to do, and you saw it ahead of time, and that is this background image. I was very excited about seeing this. This image here, really interesting point I wanted to make, is that this image is actually painted using a paintbrush. And so there's a thing called building, and I'll show you another one. When I click here, see what it draws? This is actually a brush that was applied, and it was an architectural set that I had to download and extract and install, but that's what I did on there. Just in case you are interested, there's lots of Photoshop brushes out there that you can use. All right, so what I want to talk about is taking this background image, and now it's only a single image. We're not going to want to tile this at all. One thing we are going to want to do is get the background color from up here. What we're going to do is we're going to position this graphic at the bottom of our page. But first, let's get the color code. Next, let's save it. This is background 4. Notice how large this is. 580 pixels wide, 1020 high. We're going to redo this. That's just too big. I don't need it that big because if you can see on here, we only need this bottom graphic. So we only need the bottom graphic and part of the sky. So we're going to reduce a lot. We're going to crop that. And now we're going to save our changes. Now it's file save for web and devices. There we go. There's a little white background on the bottom I don't want. So I'm going to want to crop that out. So I can just cut just a little sliver off. It doesn't matter if I cut more of that off. Now we'll save it. Background 4. Now the key to this background is in its placement. First of all, we want to make sure it has no repeat. So this has a background repeat of no repeat. We do not want it tiling. It is background 4. I believe, yeah, save the color. So we're going to try that color. It might cause a bottom. Background position, left, top. We're going to do left, bottom. Okay. So the difference is we're going to position it on the bottom. Let's save our changes and just see what happens here on our page. I'm going to hit refresh. And you can see the image as I scroll down, it's sort of taking over the bottom, and it got cut off, and that is not something I like. I don't like that. So that does cause a problem. But right now I don't have time to really change it. But I can show you a couple things you can do with the background position. Now, there's not only a background position, but there's a thing called background attachment. And so we're going to add a background attachment. And on here, we're going to use fixed. Save our changes and hit refresh. Now, when I scroll up or down, that image stays exactly there. However, we do have a problem because the way the image is placed and it cuts into our text over here. So you're going to want to possibly change its position and also adjust it so we have a bottom margin. So what I'm going to do is do a combination of a couple of things. On the wrapper, I'm going to set a margin bottom. I'm going to set it at 200 pixels, and we'll save our changes, hit refresh. And what that, see the problem with that is only when you're at the very bottom does that actually link, okay? So you can see that there's a little bit of an issue there. And so that's with the margin bottom. And so this time we might want to not do a background attachment of fixed. We might want to just save it this way. It's our best bet for what we have. So now when we scroll down, we can see margin bottom. It doesn't conflict with the image. We can also position that image down a little bit. I don't think that's a good idea for here, but let's just try a margin bottom of 240, save our changes, hit refresh, and then see where we're at. And there it works. Background image, giving you a lot of different styles, things that you can do on your web pages. I hope you enjoyed this. Good luck with your own styling on your CSS.